Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone, especially to our 8th graders tuning in today. We are tackling something that's honestly a total game changer for your Sanskrit writing. It's called the lep pratyaya. If you've ever felt like your Sanskrit sentences are just, well, a bit choppy, almost like a robot is speaking, you are in the perfect spot. We're going to learn how to blend sentences together so smoothly, you'll be writing with the flow of classical poetry in no time. Let's get right into it.
Okay, imagine you're reading this. Chhatra kaksham pravishati. The student enters the classroom. Stop. Then, sanskritam patyati. The student reads Sanskrit. Stop. I mean, it gets the point across, but it's super clunky, right? We just don't talk like that. In English, we wouldn't say, I went to the store, I bought milk. We'd say, having gone to the store, I bought milk. So the big question today is, how do we take these two separate, robotic Sanskrit actions and magically fuse them into one beautifully flowing thought?
Well, here is our roadmap to figure that out. We'll start with a quick intro to what this liya pratyaya actually is, then we'll break down the core rule behind it, and finally, we'll dive right in and solve some practice questions together.
All right, Section 1. Let's get properly introduced to the lap pratyaya.
To really get why this specific tool exists, we need to talk about actions that happen one after the other. Now, you might already be familiar with the ktva pratyaya. That's when you have a normal verb root, a dhatu, with absolutely no prefix attached to it. You just tack on ktva to say having done something, like the act of reading becomes patitva. Simple enough. But what happens if there's a prefix, an upasarga, sitting right there at the front of the verb? Well, in that case, you are literally not allowed to use ktva. It's against the rules. Instead, it transforms into our star of the day, the lyap pratyaya. They do the exact same job, but lyap is the special, mandatory tool you have to pull out anytime a prefix shows up to the party.
I want you to think of this next part exactly like a simple math equation. It's totally predictable logic. Upasarga plus dhatu plus lyap equals ya. So prefix plus root verb plus lyap. And here is the coolest part. When you add that lyap suffix, it does a little vanishing act. The L sound? Gone. The P sound? Completely disappears. They literally just melt away, and all you are left with is the ya at the very end. The Sanskrit rule is ya matram avashishyate, meaning only the ya remains. So as a pro tip, whenever you spot a Sanskrit word starting with a prefix and ending with a ya, there's a massive chance you've just found a liya pratyaya in the wild.
Now here is where it gets really interesting. Adding this suffix basically gives a word superpowers. Once a verb goes through our little math formula and gets that ya ending, it transforms into an avyaya. And an avyaya is an indeclinable word. That means it is 100% indestructible. It will never, ever change its form. It doesn't care about gender, it doesn't care about plurals or grammatical cases. A boy having read, a girl having read, 1,000 people having read, that lyap word in the middle stays exactly the same, acting as a rock-solid anchor for your sentence.
Okay, let's actually see this in action with an example from our source material. Step 1. We take the prefix ava, which means down or away. We add the root verb look, which is all about looking. And finally, we add lyap. Now, run the formula. Drop the L, drop the P, keep the ya, boom. Step 2 gives us our result, avalokya. This one, single, indestructible word perfectly translates to having seen.
Let's do just one more to really lock it in your brain. Same prefix, ava, but this time we'll use the root verb lam, meaning to hang or support. Add lyap to the mix. Do the math. And what do we get? Avalambya. It perfectly calculates out to having supported or having held. If you're reading a really dramatic story where a hero gathers their courage and then charges into battle, the author would absolutely use avalambya to smoothly bridge those two actions together.
All right, Section 3. Let's put this theory into practice and solve some problems together.
We've got the theory down, so let's tackle that exact challenge I gave you at the very beginning. Question ka. We had chhatra kaksham pravishati, sanskritam patati. The student enters, the student reads. Listen closely to that first verb, pravishati. The root is vish, but wait, it has the prefix pra. And because pra is there, we have to trigger our lap formula. Pra plus vish plus lyap magically becomes pravishya. So our clunky sentences combine beautifully into chhatra kaksham pravishya sanskritam patati. Having entered the classroom, the student reads Sanskrit. Seamless flow, right?
Let's move to question ka. Bhakta mandiram agachati, pujam karoti. The devotee comes to the temple and he performs prayers. The root of agachati is gum, but check out the prefix, a. Prefix means layup is required. So a plus gum plus layup transforms into agacha. The final polished result is Bhakta Mandiram Agachya Pujam Karoti. Having come to the temple, the devotee performs prayers. That indestructible word agachya acts as the perfect Brit.
For question ga, we've got a mother preparing food and giving it to her son. Mata bhojanam nirmati putraya dadati. The first action is nirmati. The prefix here is nir, and the root is ma. Let's apply our suffix, drop the L, drop the P, keep that ya, and we get nirmaya. When we merge it, the sentence becomes Mata bhojanam nirmaya putraya dadati. Having prepared the food, the mother gives it to her son.
Okay, question. Gha follows Suresh's morning routine. Suresha pratah uttishtati, devam namati. He wakes up in the morning and bows to God. Uttishtati has the prefix ut, sitting right in front of the root stha. Throw lep into the equation and it becomes the super elegant word utthaya. Connect the two ideas and you get Suresha pratah utthaya devam namati. Having woken up in the morning, Suresh bows down to God.
Honestly, since you've totally mastered this pattern, we can fly through the last 4 questions just by looking for those telltale, indestructible ya endings. For question ga, Rama accepts the book and goes to school. The word swikaroti becomes swikartya, so we get Rama pustakam swikartya vidyalayam gachati at. Next up, I come home and eat food. Just like our devotee earlier, agachami becomes agatya. Aham graham agatya bhojanam karomi. And notice, agatya didn't change one bit, even though the subject changed to I. It's totally indestructible. For question cha, scattering rice grains and spreading a net gives us vikirya, as in tandulakanan vikirya jalam vistara yati. And lastly, for ja, the hunter sees the grains and descends. Vyada tandulakanan avalokya bhumo avatarati. Swikirtya, agatya, vikirya, and avalokya, it's literally everywhere.
So, to wrap up today's explainer, I actually have a bit of a challenge for you. You now possess the secret formula, prefix plus root plus liap equals ya. You know these words are indestructible avyayas that seamlessly connect actions. My challenge to you is to become grammar detectives. The next time you're doing a Sanskrit reading assignment, don't just passively read the words. Investigate them. See how many of those sneaky little ya endings you can spot. I guarantee once you start looking for the liat pratyaya, you're going to realize this elegant grammatical bridge is holding the entire Sanskrit language together. Happy hunting and keep learning.